South Korea is facing a population crisis. The country's birth rate is now the lowest on earth, with big consequences for everything from the workforce to pensions. Oh, look at that baby. I can't focus looking at this baby. The number of people living there is projected to shrink by more than a quarter by 2070. Elizabeth Palmer traveled to the capital, Seoul, and met with families who are struggling with the high costs of having children.
South Korea's most precious resource is dwindling. For every 100 Korean women, fewer than 80 babies are being born. Marketing manager Chun An has decided to buck that trend. She's expecting a brother for 3-year-old Ayun Lim in just a few weeks.
How difficult was it to decide to have another one?
Oh, very hard.
It was only possible because there's daycare right in her office building, a perk of working for the giant conglomerate CJ Foods.
They also offer extra paid leaves for the pregnant workers so they can go and see the doctors on a regular basis.
And is that unusual in Korea?
I think so, yeah. It's only for like a big major companies. I think they do offer these benefits.
Most Koreans aren't that lucky. On average, they work some of the longest hours in the industrialized world, and it's women who usually do the cooking and cleaning. So a child piles on even more stress. On the weekends, Central Seoul's skating rink offers fresh air and freedom from the grind of that hyper-competitive society.
Do you hope to have a family one day?
Yoon Young-her and Suk Jun Lee are soon to be married, but they aren't sure they can afford a baby. There is such a lot of pressure to get ahead, Yoon told me. So private education is not an option, it's a must. Korea is the most expensive country in the world to raise a child, partly because success depends on getting top grades at the very best schools. For the Lees, who welcomed little Si-jun to the world 4 months ago, crushing school fees are still some way off. But Mom So-min says the bills started to pile up the minute she got pregnant.
Hospitals?
네, hospital.
And doctors?
Korea's government has spent $200 billion to boost the birth rate, including a monthly subsidy to help with baby expenses. But those, of course, are just the beginning.
Good school, good university, eventually a good partner or wife. It starts here and goes for decades.
And before he gets to elementary school, So-min says, I'd like him to learn basics like maybe martial arts or swimming. These tiny creatures turn into such giant commitments. The country may want more of them, but more and more young people are deciding, however adorable, they can do without. For CBS Mornings, Elizabeth Palmer, Seoul, South Korea.
I mean, you have 4.
I have 4
in 2 countries.
And I'm 25 years old, and I look like this.
I know,
I have 4 kids who will do a lot to you. But look, she's talking about South Korea, but, you know, there are a lot of families here who are also looking at the cost of college, the cost of housing, the cost of medical, and thinking, I'm only going to have 1 or no kids at all.
Right. Daycare is unbelievably expensive. And then you think about countries like China. They ended their one-child policy in 2016 to try to boost birth rates, and people didn't take them up on that offer because it is so expensive to have children. And now in China, I think in 2021, they are allowed families to have 3 kids, which is huge.
Another word for children is taxpayer.
There it is.